Hey guys, Brian, Mr. SF Studios. So to do your 4th gen front brakes, these are the tools you'll need. You need some jack stands, you need a jack, you need a tire iron to get your wheels off. You're going to need a big 3/8 Allen, either a socket or the Allen key, whatever. You'll need a 11mm and a 10mm wrench to do the fittings on the calipers to bleed it. There you go. There's the old rotor, caliper, and pad and everything. So to get this off, you need to put your big Allen thing in these little bolts in the back, right here. If the bolts are really tight on the caliper, you can take a rubber mallet and just strike your Allen key, and that'll bust it loose. So once this is loose, you can just physically turn it with your fingers and back it the rest of the way out. You got 2 of these pin bolts, one up here, one down here. On a Vega, they're big giant nails that have to be driven out, but on the F body, they just unscrew. So we need to unscrew that one. Okay, with the pins loosened at the back, right, unscrewed the big Allen bolts. Now your caliper's free, you can just dislodge it. Just tap it free of the rotor gently. And then put a trash can or something upside down so you can set your caliper on it. Get it out of the way of the rotor. Okay, so the caliper is setting on the trash can, and now this rotor just comes right off. You just pull it off. You can put your new one on. This is when my OCD really shines. I'm going to bust up my Dremel with the wire wheel and just clean up all this. So that's looking neat. And I'll probably clean up this suspension arm as well. So that's neat. A little simple green, a little brush, whatever. Use a brake brush to get some of the crud off. Okay, with the Dremel stainless wheel, we cleaned off the corrosion from the hub. And then with some simple green and a toothbrush, I was able to clean up the steering arm. It still looks fairly fresh from rebuilding the suspension 5 years ago. Okay, there. Now the spindle is painted. I'm just going to let that bake in the sun while I go eat lunch. But just look and see how much nicer a fresh rotor is. Just what a perfect stopping surface that is, and how one with well on its way to 30,000 miles has degraded and become scored and glazed. You can also tell when a rotor has had its life if you feel here and it actually goes down where the brake pad's been squeezing. It's been eroding the metal of the rotor, so your rotor can get thinner. It can still look visually very nice, but if you had calipers and were to measure it, it might actually be below spec. You could have used up your rotor material, and therefore your braking becomes inefficient. But with applying a new rotor, you restore the optimal thickness of the rotor, so the clamping force that was designed into the caliper is far more effective. Well, while I'm here, I noticed some of the undercoating has worn away and the old red color is apparent. So I'm going to clean that off with a toothbrush and some simple green, and just spraying a little bit of duplicolor undercoat. Just kind of black out that little red blob. It's a little nicer, just touched up the undercoat. Okay, let's bust this banjo fitting free and put the new caliper on. So the new caliper has bolts in it and they're all the way down, but you want them backed out, so turn it to the right while pushing up, because they're actually pins and the caliper floats on them, see? So you can just push up and turn and it'll pop up. The inboard brake pad just comes right out of the caliper. The only thing holding it in is this little clip, so you just pull it off. Move your outer brake pad, you just need to pry up on this and pry it out and up and away. On both sides, these little retaining tabs kind of keep it locked on. That does it. To bust your banjo fitting loose, put your wrench on, it's going to be super tight. You can take a little rubber mallet, smack your wrench, pop, pop, and that'll loosen it up. Like right now, the brake fluid's seeping out, so it's time to pull it off and stick the new one on. There, the brake line's free. Now we can bolt on the new caliper. But we want to pry off this little copper washer and replace it with a fresh one on both sides. Put our new bolt through into the new caliper. And we torque this on to the specifications in the manual. And we're good to go. Here, this red stuff sprayed onto the old brake pad. That is anti-squeal. It's kind of sticky. And what it does is it helps the pad stay with the piston. And just keeps it from squealing, I guess. So the brake pads are kind of directional. So you want to match up each one. That's why you do them one at a time. And you look at the hardware and everything and find the one that matches what you took off. Like this one here. Or this one here. This is the one, because see, the squeal tab is there. So the squeal tab is there. We'll put this one on. Hey guys, went over to Advance and I got some of that disc brake quiet stuff. This is it. Right here. You use a little bit of that, you spray it on the back of the pad here. And that way it'll stick to the piston and it won't squeal. Plus it seals it so crud doesn't get up inside the empty hollow piston. And I also picked up a can of this Raptor enamel. I'll probably reshoot these lug nuts. They're looking kind of nasty. So I masked off everything except for where the piston's going to contact it. And I'm going to paint that with the disc brake quiet. Just make it red. Once this dries, we can put this side together. But I got to change back into grubby clothes because I had to go to the store and take a shower and all that. We got our coated brake pad in place. And once it's on, the brake pads will stay in place. It looks kind of weird right now, but it works. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere because of that little clip. It's on the piston. And it's located because of these pins and the brackets. But before we put this onto that, we got to clean the braking surface really good with brake cleaner and a rag. I'm going to do that. Okay, to put a little bit of caliper grease on the thread of the bolt. That way when it threads into the spindle bracket, you know, it won't rust in there 5 years from now. When you go to take it off, just a little bit of grease there. Just don't get any on the brake pads or the rotors. Just physically lift up the caliper and slide it onto the rotor and line up the pins with the bolt holes. And once they're securely lined up, you just hand start them in and tighten them down. Damn, that looks nice. Anyway, we pretty much got it started. That one's going in. This one's started. So you just got to sit there and torque them down. The big takeaways with doing a brake job is just don't be in a hurry. Allow yourself plenty of time. Keep everything clean. You know, once you torque your Allen bolts down nice and snug, you're pretty much done with the brake job. And if you weren't putting a caliper on, you wouldn't have to do this next step, but I advise it. If you, well, you have to. Just if you put a caliper on, you got to bleed it, because there's nothing in here but air right now. So you have to have an assistant sit in the car, pump up the brakes 4 or 5 times, push down on the pedal to the floor as you open this, and the brake fluid squirts out in the air. And so the pedal will sink to the floor, and then you close this while it's at the floor. Then they pull the pedal up, pump on the pedal a couple more times, and they push down, and you open it, and it'll sink to the floor again. Then you close it. You just keep doing that until this is no longer air. It's just a steady stream of clean brake fluid. Then you know your brake is bled and that the piston has got a full reservoir of clean, fresh brake fluid. The line's full, and it goes all the way up to the master cylinder, and then your brakes are good. But you have to do all of them when you're done. But this is all you got to do to put the brakes on, really. It's not a hard job, really. Okay, this one's bled, so this side's done. everything's immaculate, everything's together. It's going to be fine. Now I got to go pull the wheel off the other side and repeat. But that's pretty much it. That's all it takes to do the front brakes on a 90s F-body. Okay, so the final part of the puzzle is to put your wheels on, your tires. Make sure that your master cylinder is topped off, and then take it for a little drive and bed the brakes. And to bed the brakes, you drive very slow, like 25 miles an hour, and then you slow the car down to a stop. Then you get the car up to 35, and you slow the car down to a stop. Then you get the car up to 45, and you slow the car down to a stop gently. And what you're doing is you're introducing the new brake pads to the new rotor, so they just kind of gently meet one another and get copacetic and happy. And then once you get it up to like 55, and then bring it down, 60, bring it down, 65, bring it down, you're good. Your brakes are done. You should have many years of trouble-free service. Okay, I just took it for a bedding drive, and it seems really good. Seems really good. It was stopping great, and I don't think we're leaking anything, so I'll just keep an eye on it. Check the master cylinder in the morning, drive it for a bit, and then check all the fittings, make sure everything's snug. Should be good.